Okay.
Sorry, jamming to
But I
the
like
oldies this morning.
Okay, it says we're live here. So let me do my little intro. Welcome live from the crossroads of America. Talk show about guns, politics, or anything else that crosses my mind. Answer questions from the audience. Just type them in the chat or email me at rickslifeasIseeit@gmail.com or spottedrick@gmail.com. I have a Patreon page and all that other good stuff. So, you know, I'm just saying, and all other kinds of info all down there below on the YouTube page. You know, so, just say that. Hey, Clover Tech, how you doing? Anyway, let me introduce my. Let's see who's in the chat. We got Vanessa. I wrote in there first and said I was first, but Vanessa Kitty was first. John Brown Productions, Jason Stewart. Ga. Sorry about your balls, bro. That's it. Then we got Ozzy Osbourne, Black Cat Outdoors, Two Live Moo. Everybody's starting to come in now. So let me introduce my panel. Is we got New York Outcast. How you doing?
Doing well. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, wherever you may be. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, well, it's actually, I think, on the West Coast, it's just hit noontime, hasn't it? So, all right, then we got the one and only Tony. How you doing?
I'm fixing to build an ark, man.
Then we got the Patriot in the Dark. How you doing?
doing great, Rick. Thanks for having me.
Okay. Then we got Clover Tech. It snuck in here on the bottom here on my screen. How you doing? Good. You there? Can you hear me? Oh, you got connection issues here. You must have connection issues because he disconnected. All right. Hope he makes it back in. Yeah. All right. Can you hear us now?
Maybe. Is it working?
Yeah, we can hear you now. How you doing?
I am well, Rick. Thanks for the invite.
Good. Yeah, no problem. Glad you can make it. I know you're a busy man. You can't make it every week, which I understand.
Yeah, I mean, Saturdays is usually my help out at the gun shop day, so it just kind of depends on how things are going.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. All right. We got, who else has joined us? Gun Loving Grandpa, Midnight Range are out there. All right. So, anyway, here's my topic. I'm only going to screw this up, but hang on. How did I actually word it? Let me have a look. Have we set a precedent? I can't pronounce the word, but you know what I mean. In court, if you've done something,
Precedent.
That's the word. With stay-at-home orders. Now, this might be conspiracy theory, but I don't think so. I mean, if you look at what's happened with what the country has done with the coronavirus, what happens if we get a Democratic president? I'm not saying this next time around, but in the near future, a Democratic president and a Democratic Congress, and their big thing is climate change. And that for the sake of humanity, for the sake of the United States, right? We need to do this stay-at-home stuff because look how much cleaner the rivers are. The smog's gone over LA and all this. What is because they can say, well, we can do it because we've done it back during the coronavirus, and global warming is a hell of a lot worse than this. So they could start it again. And that is scary.
I'd see your point. I don't think it would fly over, though. It doesn't seem like anybody's liking the lockdown too much, or the fact that they're forced to lock down in some places. My question would be, what happened back in 1918, where I don't know, was there any orders of staying at home? I believe just the sick were isolated, but I don't know. So
yeah, But
it could
it's not the
be
point of
used. I don't think people would get away with it, but yeah, I see your.
I don't know. I don't know because we've already said it because we've done it. We've done it now, right? We've done the stay-at-home orders. There is the odd one out there. You can't buy this, you can't buy that. You got to wear a mask and all this. So it has been set. So why couldn't another government say, well, we've already done it once to save the planet, to save our country. We're going to do X, X, and X. The
only reason people are cooperating at this point is because there's an absolute medical reason behind it, theoretically.
Yeah, but the saving the planet is more important.
We don't care about
that's going to be a lot harder to prove.
Well, no,
when it comes to the math on that, volcanoes under the ocean, I mean, there's so much stuff we don't know. I think that would be very hard to convince the public.
Yeah, well, maybe, but it's something we got to watch out. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could under the right circumstances.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's scary. That's what scares me about this more than anything else. This stay at home. I mean, a lot of people, as you said, aren't following it. A lot of states are, reopening slowly.
I'll tell you, I had my grandson the last 2 nights. I got my granddaughter now, so much for my social distancing from my family. They can.
Oh, Black Cat Outdoors. Black Cat Outdoors said there was quarantine orders in 1918. They even outlawed spitting in public in Pennsylvania back then. So there you go. So it was around then.
Yeah, there was it's a little bit different though, and there was back in revolutionary times. Quarantine is not. I mean, for many thousands of years, even quarantine is not that big of a deal. The issue that we're dealing with now, quarantine, you take the sick, and you take those that are more apt to be affected, and those are the people that stay home. Those are the people that get isolated. And with what you're doing now is you've got a situation to where they're wanting to isolate everybody, not just the ones that are infected or more at risk of dying because of being infected.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. They're quarantined the healthy.
Yeah, right. And that's something that's never been done before, really, in quarantine in the past. When you talk about early 1900s, early 1800s, late 1700s, all the way back through time, it was about the sick, keeping the sick separated from everybody else.
Yeah.
I believe with Typhoid Mary, after the second time, they ended up isolating her to her own island, where she stayed till her death. I was going to say, if it ever comes up, I'm happy to take my own island.
Jason Stewart said the mass population is complying because they are in fear. Remove the fear, removes the compliance. Fear is a big actor. So back to my scenario, if the Democrats do the global warming thing with the fear, if we don't do this, if you don't stay home, or you can't take car, you have to have an electric car. We're doing away with gas and all this kind of stuff because the planet is going to destroy itself. They could do a fear factor and try to do it again. I'm just saying, it's just something I heard. I was listening to something this morning and that came up, and I was just thinking about it. That it could be done.
You really need to monitor stuff you listen to and read.
All right, here's another.
They could try it.
Yeah. So Ohio 45 said an estimated 675,000 Americans died of the Spanish flu. That's another thing too is, 40,000 people have died so far. I think, or 42,000, which is terrible. I mean, as President Trump said, one is one too many. But I mean, by using this quarantine stay at home, did it keep the figure below that 2 million Americans?
Nope.
Well, the thing of it is that all it's doing is prolonging the outcome because the only way this ends is if everybody has the antibodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So-
and if you, Tony's exactly right. With if you look at a lot of the reports from these medical institutions and stuff that are coming out now, like 21% of the population have the antibodies, and they haven't been. None of that's even been recorded. They're not even being recorded in the number of people that have it. And obviously, if you have the antibodies, you've had it at some point. And then to the point of the death toll on it, this is coming from their own mouth. If you have it and you die of anything, they mark it as a death by the virus. And
financial benefit.
That's all that's doing. That's jacking up the death toll artificially. I mean, majorly jacking it up artificially.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, here's another side sort of point to this too. Is this all staying at home? Okay, back to what you're saying. Like they're quarantining the healthy people as well. Okay, take the figure might have changed this afternoon, but when I looked at this thing this morning, Wyoming has had one death. New York has had what 20,000 plus deaths. So why should the people in Wyoming pay the price for New York? Think about it the other way. Take Wyoming, Montana, all those states up there. If that was the epicenter, would New York City close?
That's the thing, man. In the town I live in, there's none. In the area I live in, there's about 20, which is the whole central part of Illinois. Why the heck do we have to suffer and lock down here in this friggin' town when it ain't here?
Yeah, that's an overreach.
I mean,
it doesn't make any sense.
I mean, if this, how, New York is where it's the main boom. If that was up there in like Wyoming, Montana area of the United States, I don't believe New York City would be in the lockdown it is right now. They would say, well, we keep an eye on it, but we don't need to do what we're doing now.
I think we've got 9 cases here in our county, and every single one of them is attributed to travel. It's either somebody here has traveled somewhere else and got it, or somebody from somebody else has been traveling through and gave it to somebody.
You got to watch how many of the places where we live have subways.
The difference between New York and Wyoming is Wyoming subways has like 1 person per square mile. New York has 1 per square foot.
Yeah, a huge difference in people's back, plus the public transportation.
They've had 1 death, maybe 400 cases, right? Why should that state be in a shutdown because of New York?
They really shouldn't, because in a sense it helps. It's prolonging it because it should, if it is that bad and it's going to have to cross everywhere, then it should be at a manageable rate in your area where they can address it.
I'm gonna throw something in here to answer that question outside the box that I think is true. Talking about why, you've got Wyoming. Let's run with that. Let's continue to run with that because that's a great example. Wyoming versus New York. Why is Wyoming, doing the same things that New York is? Because they want, say it with me, children, federal money for this disaster.
You're right. More government, more money. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. That's more likely why they're doing it. But it's
get a little, tinfoil hatish. They might want it to take longer to justify something else, like maybe issues with the financial system or something. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I've said this ever since this whole thing, pretty much since this whole thing started, because the first we first started hearing about this September, October, something like that of last year, and so the reason I think that a lot of why it's ramped up, the media continues to whip it up, and everything else is it's an election year. If it was not an election year, done. If this would have all done and been over with.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I know we talked about this last week too, but it's as the weeks go by. I mean, like my county, as of yesterday, I don't know what it is today. We've had 16 cases and no deaths, but we're all in lockdown. But as you said, it could be. I mean, this county is a pretty poor county overall, so they could be wanting the federal money or the state money, and of course the state's going to get it from the federal.
And I know we all throw out those numbers and stuff, but you got to realize most of those numbers aren't even close to what they really are. I just listened this morning that they had a county in, I want to say it's California, Southern Cal or whatever, but they actually ran like 80,000 tests in the county, and they had a lot of people that already had it, but they which dropped the that mortality rate and all that stuff down to like 0.1%, and on the high end and 0.02 on the low end. And so I mean, and I know personally around here, they had a guy committed suicide, and they said that was a corona death. So I know that those numbers are fake. We got to remember that. And once they put those numbers in there, the issue is how do you change those? Because now that they're in there and everybody talks them and repeats them, that whole idea of getting that truth out. David brought it up last week, where once it's set like that, you're not going to change those numbers. And they're not going to go back and try to figure out who actually had it. And that is a big problem, because there's going to be definitely more people have had it, got over it, never knew a symptom or anything, and those numbers are out there, and so that the deaths and the mortality and all that stuff, I think that it's bumped up so much because of that. Going back to that funding and federal monies, of course, if you're going to get more money and all that stuff, if they think you're lame like my state, they just extended out another 15 days to May 15th. And they say, oh, well, just wear a mask. It's mandatory now. But you can buy seeds, so everything's
Same
better.
here.
It's ridiculous.
By plants.
Okay, here's another one for you. That doctor from New York, in New York City, I think, he's treated thousands of these cases of COVID-19, and he's been using hydrochloroquine, and he says it works. But everybody said it hasn't been tested and all this kind of stuff. And then there was a report that wasn't verified, put out there saying it killed more people than it helped, which wasn't. I said that report wasn't verified. There's a doctor, not a doctor. He's not a doctor, so you can't say what, but he works in a hospital and he draws blood. I can't think of the name of them, what they're called now.
That's a phlebotomist.
Vampire.
Yeah.
Hematologist.
Right?
Vampire.
And he says he's been dealing, this is in Michigan. He said he's dealt with hundreds of patients, and they're given hydrochloroquine, and he says it is working in Michigan. Personally, what I believe, right, is all because Trump mentioned it at the very beginning of this thing, and it's the hatred of Trump exceeds saving lives of some of these people with the Democrats. Their hatred is so deep, that they can't see beyond. It's Trump. We gotta get Trump. And
That goes both ways. That goes both ways too, Rick. I see it all the time where the more conservative people, the hatred of the more liberal people, blinds them from the truth. I mean, the truth is always going to be somewhere in the middle.
Hey, watch it.
No pun intended then there,
I caught
Patriot.
you twice on your show yesterday about saying blind, and I was going to say something, but I actually did
There's
catch something that might kind of add to this. It's something that I didn't realize. I have medical people around, whatever, but some of the things that they were mentioning was that there's such a scare. Stay home, lock yourself up. Don't go around. Don't go to the hospitals, right? And then by the time people actually do say, hey, I'm really bad, I need to go to the hospital, a lot of the people that this person was seeing, they were already, past that tipping point where, they were in real bad shape before they ever show up at the hospital to get any kind of treatment, let alone, the medicines or hooked up on the ventilators and stuff. And so once you get past that tipping point, if you've blocked everybody from coming until they're deathly ill, I mean that's whatever that description is, that number of people, they're already past that point that stuff might have helped. So even if the medicines, they say, oh, it doesn't work or whatever, it could be because people are, obviously waiting until, the last minute to actually go in. I don't know if that has any correlation or causation or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just something that, you got to look at those numbers.
Here's another thing to throw out you guys out there in the panel here or in the chat who are, well, there hasn't been a full study on it. I mean, we all know the drug's been around for 75 years. It's been used for, it was originally made for malaria, but then it was approved for lupus. Is it lupus? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes.
And arthritis.
Yeah. My mom's been taking it for 4 years now.
I've been taking it for 4 years because of my arthritis, right? Okay, here's the question for you. Say if you're married or you got a girlfriend or boyfriend, or your significant other was sick, came down with this, and they said, well, this could work. You'd rather take the chance of that person dying than maybe recovering? Because it's not going to kill them unless unless you overdose them with it. But aspirin will kill you if you don't take it properly. And personally, myself, I know I'm on it. But if I had somebody and I would say give it to them.
Yeah, my take on all that when you start talking experimental drugs, as long as somebody's willing to take it, give it to them. It's aggravating when they say, oh, we can't do this because there's a 10% chance that it might kill you. There's a 20% chance it might kill you. Well, you know what? If I don't take it, there's a 80% chance I'm going to die. Right. Yeah. So explain the risk. I'm not saying just arbitrarily, throw medications out there to people. Explain the risks, make sure that it's researched so that, okay, if you have this medical condition, your risk is a little higher, and lay all that out on the table. And then if somebody wants to take it, let them take it. That's the whole, and that's my feelings above, beyond, and outside even the current situation with this virus is with experimental medications, period. As long as all the cards are on the table, let that person make that decision. We don't need FDA approval and all this other kind of crap. As long as all the cards are on the table and it's their decision, let them do it. How many people go through the drive-through and get Big Macs and eat those and killing themselves every day of the week? How many people are smoking or drinking or whatever it might be and killing themselves slowly every day of the week? What's the difference except for when you lay the cards on the table with the medication, it could actually prolong or save somebody's life. It makes no sense.
Do they have something that's already set up like that? I thought they had, like with the cancer medications and stuff or whatever it is.
Oh, there was another test done.
Some stuff is, but it still has to go through like an FDA trials and stuff first.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was another test done on hydrochloroquine, and I can't remember where it was. It wasn't China. It was some other country, I believe, and they tested 405 people with it. 403 recovered. 2 died. To me, that's damn good odds. You know?
Jump in real quick. Rick, besides that drug, there's also a doctor in New York and there's one now in California that's also had outstanding results. Combined, I can't remember their numbers, but it was close to 1,000 with the guy in New York, and I can't think of the guy in, I think it's LA, that are both using vitamin C, vitamin D, and zinc, and everybody's come through fine. So, I mean, if you can go natural, go natural. And that goes to the next thing is where, the experimental drug. I've had two people in my life that have dealt with experimental drugs. One, I got paid to take the NIH, like they actually paid us to come in, paid me for a week to sit there while they experimented and this and that, because she took experimental cancer drugs as a teenager. So that was a whole experiment. And for her, in the end, things didn't work out too well. For my daughter, who woke up paralyzed one night, they had no idea this and that. Apparently, they sent us to 3 hospitals, sent us to upstate medical, and the whole area where we were was filled with a bunch of other people that were in the same condition, and that just happened to be after the Gardasil shot, but that's a whole nother conversation. They offered experimental drugs. Honestly, kids were dying in there. And we passed on those drugs because I questioned the doctor pretty hard. And when it was just me and him, he basically stated he wouldn't give it to his kid. We passed on it. 3 days later, we walked out. Everybody else was still in there. And the looks we got from those parents kind of still haunts me. So there is a downside too, but if it comes down to you're gonna die anyway, for sure, then probably give it a try.
But
this keep in mind, for every little thing, I would be cautious about. If there's a natural way, try that first.
This isn't an experimental drug, though. It's only experimental in disuse. This drug has been around since the 50s, maybe earlier.
Right. But we've jumped around to 2 different places in a sense. So
yeah,
I agree with that.
Here's another question about all this. Sweden never done anything. Business as usual. And they seem to be surviving quite well.
Yeah, well, they're kind of isolated. The Nazis never got to them neither.
But they're right there in the mix of Europe.
Or wait a minute, it's Switzerland.
Sweden is not. It's up. It's sort of north of Europe. It's in northern Europe. It's kind of cold up. It gets kind of cold in Sweden.
The singer for Nightwish lives in Sweden, and she got it.
I'm not saying that people haven't got it, but they didn't do this massive shutdown like we have. And their country's ticking over. Yes, as I said at the beginning, it's terrible if somebody dies. I'm not callous. And I don't care if people die. I don't want to die. Well, I think we should open it up and go for it.
Nobody gets out of this thing alive, period.
That's right. We all die sometime.
Well, and Sweden's death rate was per capita anyway was really, really high. But it was with Sweden. It was literally, if Sweden was a situation where they pretty much pulled the Band-Aid off. They come out of the gate. They did what they had to do. They understood people were going to die. They said, "Screw it," and so it hurt really bad in the sense of that per capita death toll. But now, it's almost life is normal again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think that's what we should do here. Okay, places like New York, you might want to keep controlled, like they're doing right now. But I personally, I'd say open New York up too. But keep it contained if you want, but let the rest of the country do what they got to do. You know, the United States. I mean, New York, yes, the stock exchanges in New York and stuff like that, but it's all done by computer nowadays anyway. You know, the United States does not revolve around New York City as much as New Yorkers want to believe. You know, no response from New York Outcast on that one.
No, New York is, the people that run it are they're something special, all right. So no complaints, no arguments here with you.
You know, I mean, I'm trying to. I mean, it's I've been saying this for weeks now. I'm just gonna shut up on it because it just.
Well, Illinois lunatics come from the same damned asylum. And evidently Michigan's too.
I think the biggest thing with especially with New York, you know, that mass transit where nobody owns vehicles. I mean, everybody's there. They're stacked up. You know, I mean, I was there when I was really young, but, you know, I'm sure it hasn't got any better. You know, Chicago's got the L train and all that stuff. You know, where I'm at, there is no mass transit. You might have a bus system really loose, you know, as far as like MTA or one of the, you know, the mass transit. We have trains and that's it. You know, the ones that cross country, Amtrak and that kind of stuff. But as far as, you know, getting in, you know, this Uber thing is obviously, you know, used or whatever, where you're in the car, just like a taxi or something like that, where it's, you know, multiple people, multiple times or whatever. But, you know, any place that doesn't have those kind of things, if you look at the numbers, I think they're, I mean, obviously, you know, when people are stacked together, but I personally, I don't trust any of the extremes. You know, the guys that say, no, we got to have this closed for 2 years, or the guys that said, you know, so question it all.
Well, I'll tell you, here, the closest thing we get to mass transit is when the guy brings the horse and carriage in for the tour of homes.
Hey, I can't even get a food delivered to me out here. So you guys are lucky. You know,
I did some quick numbers just as a comparison here. From what I'm finding on Google as of this point, yearly, at this point with the COVID, it's saying 16,599 deaths. 53,000 deaths, 53,344. I don't know if that's correct or not. I just Googled it from COVID.
I mean, that's the latest. Half of those come from New York.
Probably, and we know those numbers are, not necessarily believable. Well, on a yearly average, 251,000 people die from medical malpractice. So, I mean, when, comparing that, I mean, shouldn't we be a little more concerned with the medical system than it would be this,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But
we're going to close the country down for that because it sounds, 5 times worse. I don't know.
Let's not muddy up the water with facts.
Here's a question for you. Everybody's worried about this. It's going to kill everybody. Running around in fear. You count how many people die from flu every year. You count how many people die from malpractice every year. You count everybody who dies from suicide every year. You count everybody who's died from motor accidents on the road every year. I mean, I bet you we've exceeded the number that they think is going to happen with this. So I can't see the logic behind this, behind all this. I really can't. All it's doing, it's screwing up the economy, and that's what the Democrats want to get Trump out of office.
There's the logic.
Back to what I said, the hatred for Trump is more than to save lives. They don't care about the economy, long as they can get rid of Trump.
Well, there's some chat out there that was talking about Japan, and what I find interesting is and I'm not talking about anybody on the panel or in the chat here or anything else. So your own opinion is your own opinion. Personally, I haven't worn a mask for the first time, but it's this idea of wearing masks. And so when you look at Japan, for example, and you look at per capita and the rates and everything else, but you got to realize something. The Asian countries, I mean, just Google Asian crowd or, anything else and look at the pictures. A very, very large percentage. And I know even Asian people that live here and were like born and raised here. And when they go out in public, they wear a mask. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's just weird. It's weird to me.
Yeah,
It's weird to a lot of red-blooded Americans, let's say. It's weird. But
Yes.
if we think about it, if we stop and we step back, and like I said, I'm pointing fingers at myself just as much as anybody else because I've yet to wear a mask. And I'll go to town here as soon as this live stream's over. I've got to run into town, and I doubt very seriously I'll wear a mask. But look at potential health benefits above and beyond just this. How many less colds will you have? How much less of a chance would you have of catching the flu or getting a stomach virus or anything else if you just wore a mask when you were out in any kind of public and confined areas or something like that, really close to people, and you wore a mask? How much less would you get sick? It makes sense, but why are we so resistant to it?
Because the government's telling us we got to do it.
Which is
I've worn a mask since this pretty much started in my area, but it's been pretty bad here. And, gun guys that are preparedness for just in case. It seems kind of strange that a lot of people are so against it. I don't know if it's like an ego thing or you're not going to tell me what to do thing, but it does seem a little extreme to some people. I'm not a fan of government orders for it, but I can state you can't get into a store in my area without a mask. They got people posted at the front door. So if you want to buy something, you better have something. That's just the way it is here now.
yes, and if it's a private business, they have a right to say that you have to have a mask to come in our store. I mean, I understand this virus, this COVID-19 is real, but I also believe what we're doing is overkill compared to what to what's happening. So I don't know. I don't want to die, but why should I be locked in my house? Can't go anywhere.
Unless your hospitals are overran, I don't think you should be personally.
And really, how many hospitals actually got overrun?
But Rick, where can't you go?
Not many. Sounds of it.
Go on. Well, Tony?
Where can't you go?
That's valid, Tony, because I could pretty much go. Let me back up. I can pretty much go anywhere that I normally went, and I say that to say this. Right now, I can't go sit down in a restaurant and eat, and I did do takeout, and it tastes like crap because it sweats in the styrofoam container on the way home and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not the same experience. So I can't go sit down in a restaurant and eat, which I didn't do all that often anyway. I can't go to the movie theater or the bowling alley, but I didn't go to those places very often anyway. So yeah, so your point.
Yeah, see, well, now, back to what we were talking during the daytime, Tony. I did go down to a restaurant because I'm disabled, so basically I'm retired, so I can go down there for lunch or dinner, breakfast, which I did 3 or 4 times a week.
And you still do. Yes, you can. You do it.
I do takeout, and as Clover said, it doesn't taste the same. Plus, as human beings, as much as we say we're loners or we don't want to, no, we're not. As human beings, we like to be, I'm not saying smother with people, but we like to be able to have contact with people.
Well, human nature is tribalistic and social. So yeah.
So, and okay, there's been I can my doctor, for instance, right? Yes, he'll see me, but he doesn't really want to. He wants to talk to me on the phone first. then if I go down, he doesn't really want me to come to his office unless I'm practically dying. So there's
Let me
another.
ask you this. Let me ask you this, Rick.
Yeah.
How many times do you actually go seek out people for conversations?
When I go down to the diner or go over my cousins. But that, I said, no, I don't travel around a lot. I agree with you.
Here remotely, you're doing it every damn day.
Yeah.
Much.
I haven't been
I
haven't been super inconvenienced, but so I mean I agree with Tony here, but on the same token is different people live different lives in different areas, so there's probably lots of people out there that are super inconvenienced right now.
Oh yeah, I would imagine there is.
I don't doubt that either. But me and Rick live in almost an identical area, man. There's really hasn't changed as much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Here's a good one from Ohio 45. What does the group think about Google and Apple wanting to monitor everyone by their phone for contact tracking?
Hey, you think they ain't already doing that?
Well, yes, I know. I don't. Hey, go on.
I almost never carry my phone, so I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, people who think that nobody knows about them, they don't want to give the government any information or anybody. Everybody, all the big companies know who you are. The government knows who you are. You're not hiding.
They probably got a better list of what guns I got than I do.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is,
you know about it.
Before you get into all that, yes, they could have all this information. Do you think they really give a shit about you personally?
Right.
I mean, that whole notion that, oh, I want to protect my stuff is cool. But the whole idea that they're sitting there and there's some guy in some big warehouse going through all your paperwork, unless you're doing something dumb, they probably don't really care.
Well, you're right.
I mean, what kind of consequence is it?
Yeah, but
I rarely.
The complications that could come from that is what you got to worry about.
Well, and I mean, historically, and this is a serious and legitimate question, and I'll throw out to the panel and or the chat. The same, whatever you want to call it, conspiracy theories or whatever it is about the whole, tracking cell phones thing. That was said about. There was concerns raised with the telegraph. There was concerns raised with the radio. There was concerns raised with the television. There was concern raised when it went to cable, and then when it went to the internet. And then, it's so throughout the history of communication between people, there's always been some type of concern around that. And at what point has any of that been used would be my first question. And the second was if it's never been used, which I don't see any way that it has been, then why now? Why all of a sudden will there be a switch and it be turned on and it be feasible and logistically possible when you're talking about millions or billions of people, plugged in? Why is all of a sudden it's possible? And to echo what Patriot said, why do they even care?
Well, you can look at Alexa for that one. They don't, there was such an uproar over that thing here and everything you said. And I always said, well, don't have it in your house or turn the thing off. Ain't hard.
Yeah, my youngest daughter, their whole house is like Alexa controlled, and it freaks me out. And maybe it's just the old person in me. I don't know, but literally they can turn their lights on and off from work and start the coffee pot and do, hey Alexa, turn my coffee pot on at home, or whatever. And it's like, oh my God, why would you want to do that? That's just freaky to me.
It's probably because they never watched Maximum Overdrive, that documentary. You got to watch that, and from that point on, you won't have a coffee pot that'll do anything.
You won't have a self-propelled cutting knife either.
Yeah. The robot lawnmower.
I think it's crazy. I mean, with the advances in technology, I mean, I personally would take it as an insult if somebody gifted me one of those. There's no way in Hades I would have one of those. I mean, an example, I have tape over my video camera on my phone right now.
I mean,
it's just the person I am. My security system at home isn't Wi-Fi, and I don't care about telling the world because I don't need, with most of those systems, you can go get a backup camera, that runs on with
the government knows everything about
gigahertz, and drive around the neighborhood and see everybody's stuff. I mean, it's too easy, and people advance and advance. I mean, everybody's at different levels. To me, that's just stupid. So it doesn't matter today. It may very well matter in 5 years.
So Snob out there is saying, he says, Google and Apple just want to track you for the simple reason of targeting you with specific marketing, which, I mean, yeah, absolutely true, because they already do that. And so he threw out this out there, and this reminds me of a story that I got to tell that's freaky. I'm assuming it's total coincidence because I don't see how it's possible otherwise. But here's the scenario. So I was working on a project, and I need an oscillating sander. And so I'm not going to go into what that is. If you know what it is, great. If you don't, Google it. But I needed an oscillating sander. I don't own one, but I knew my grandfather had one. So I went over to his house, went into the workshop. My phone now, mind you, is in my pocket. I'm by myself. I had this thought. I don't remember ever even saying oscillating sander out loud. I may have said I needed to sand this or something, right, to myself. But I'm pretty sure I never used the word oscillating sander talking to myself. So I go over to my grandfather's house. I go into the workshop. I plug it all up, put the attachment on, do what I got to do, turn it off, leave. I get home, and this is hours later, of course, and I'm scrolling through, I forgot what it was, Facebook or Instagram, or it was something. And guess what popped up? An ad for an oscillating sander.
Yeah, I've had stuff happen to me like that I can't explain.
And my phone was in my pocket, so it didn't see anything.
Yeah, it's just listening.
And I don't know what I said that it would have picked up on. I don't know how in the world it could have noticed the noise or something and said, oh, well, he's using an oscillating sander. But it was freaky.
Yeah, that's
what we can tell what
Black & Decker. We can tell by the sound.
Yeah, right. I guess so. That's some freaky technology, like, if that's the case.
Yeah, it's just like music. I mean, the AIs don't know music; they know the levels and pitches and all that stuff. I'm sure.
I mean, it's even. like the other day when I first done it, because I guess millions of people are doing it. I was looking at a search. I typed where. And it automatically, first thing that popped up, where's your stimulus check? And that's what I was going to type in there.
Yep. Predictive AI is awesome. Yeah.
That was probably the 27th time you typed that right after the word.
Right. Rick's checking every 5 minutes.
Why do you always make me go from, family friendly to R-rated, Tony?
I didn't say no bad words.
All right. Tony's fault? I agree with Tony here. I got Tony's back.
Yeah, but like using the phone for track. I mean, they're tracking you more like for things. But a good way, what they do is somebody in the chat asked, "Well, how can they use your cell phone to contact who you've been seeing?" Well, not so much who you've been seeing, but say you contact with this person who had it. They got your phone. They say, oh, that person went to McDonald's yesterday. So we need to find out everybody who was in McDonald's yesterday. To keep control of this virus is what they're talking about. It's how
either that or whose cell phone was your cell phone with?
Yeah, just in the basic terms, it connects to any Wi-Fi as you're driving along or what tower it goes off of. It's the same thing with knowing what connection it goes with.
Yeah. Yeah, so
but people are going to do these things because it's easy.
The first time that you have done anything, the government. I mean, right now, do they still do it? Because of the terrorist threat to the United States. Don't they have programs that listen to like phone calls for certain words for it to pick up.
Well, say them words and we'll see.
You know, so I'm just saying. I mean, you're not hiding anything. You're not hiding anything.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, the government knows about you. I mean, yes, they don't. I mean, and out of 340 million people, more than likely 339 million they don't give a shit about. But they know who you are.
To be absolutely honest, I do not leave my cell phone at home for any particular reason other than I'm old and I can't remember to pick it up.
Yeah,
I don't use it.
The other thing is Rick doesn't really have to worry about it because I'm sure on that list there is no Chicago. So I think Rick's safe.
Yeah, I am safe. I'm right here.
Speaking of safe,
I'm taking my hydrochloric quin, so I'm good to go.
Speaking of safe, I want to interrupt and ask you about your quiz this Saturday.
Oh, it's that time already, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I haven't even got through. I tell you what you wanted to listen to. Where I try to get most of this stuff from is people might think I listened to Dennis Prager today and his firearm chats. I think they come out on Fridays. The one he done this week with a lot of what I told you I'd mess up a lot of it. If you listen to what he said, it made perfect sense to me. You know, maybe I didn't say it as good as he did. It's only a 30-minute podcast. If you listen to it, you'll be amazed. All right, quiz for last week. Okay, I got a very, very late entry because my time is normally 12 Eastern. But I'm going to allow this one because I only had 2 entries anyway. So now I got 3. And which I find very disappointing. I didn't think that question was that hard. The question was for the swag pack was Bob Munden, who was known as the fastest gun who ever lived, was given a talk. Actually, in Montana, this was. I don't know what year, but the crowd asked him who were the 4 fastest gun drawers in movies, and his answer was. In 4th place was Glenn Ford. This is actually could draw a gun fast. 4th was Glenn Ford. 3rd was Clint Eastwood. 2nd, this one's really surprised me. 2nd was Sammy Davis Jr. Now, you young people won't know who any of these people are. You might know who Clint Eastwood is, And the fastest drawer of a gun in the movies back when he said this was, you ain't going to believe this, Jerry Lewis. So that was the answer. I just wanted to say that.
So the shorter you get, the faster you draw, is what I'm gathering from that almost.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking too. So let me hit my random picker here with my 3 names in it. And we know who's entered. Unknown user. He always enters.
He's going to win. He designed that software for that.
I know he didn't. He must have gone in there and tweaked it. Raphael won.
All right.
Wow, been a while.
Congratulations.
Yeah. You're the winner, Raphael. And I think Raphael knows how to break into that program of unknown users because Raphael sent me the answers correctly. And he goes, just in case, he gave me his address to send it to.
I love that.
So it makes me wonder, It makes me wonder. So, okay. Now this week, question. And this one I think's easy. This is easy for another swag pack. And I only come up with this because I watched it. I was watching it this morning. In the movie The Unforgiven, I want to know the make and model of the shotgun Clint Eastwood had, and I want to know what rifle Morgan Freeman used. That's it. I want to know the make and model of the rifle Morgan Freeman used, and the make and model of the shotgun Clint Eastwood used in the film Unforgiven. That's it.
And if y'all have to look it up to get the answers, I'm ashamed.
You know, I want name, model. You know, so there you go. I was watching it. I've seen the movie about 5 times already, and I watched it this morning again. I think it's one of the best westerns ever made, in my opinion. I think it's pretty good. But anyway, that was that. What else you want to know? What do we want to talk about now? I got my cut of the week already too for when we're get close to the end. And if anybody took my advice and started subscribing to the Bearded Butchers, they're actually based in Ohio, and they put out some good stuff. And he put out a cut the other day that he goes, it was a secret cut that butchers use. And I'm thinking, well, what in the hell has he got? And I watched him cut this thing up, and he finally got to it, and he pulled it out, and he said, here you go, a Denver steak, he called it, which is a good piece of meat. But actually the way it was taught to me, what it actually is a boneless short rib. You know, short ribs. Instead of cutting them, because most people cut short ribs into like Korean short, real thin strips. But if you just bone it out, you have a nice fat piece of meat from the chuck, and you can grill that real slowly. You can smoke it. You know. Put some seasoning on it, throw it on the grill at a real low temperature, and just let it cook. You know, and that steak, because the way the steak expands, gets bigger. You know, and so it's a beautiful steak. Actually, it's the best part of normal short ribs is what it is. It's short ribs, but it's I'm trying to think what's the because it's the piece of short rib that's closest to the chuck, the actual chuck eye. It's the closest piece to that, and that's what he used, and he called it a Denver steak. He actually, I think he smoked his. I think did he smoke it or just grill it? He used one of those. What do you call it? Green, kettles? Barbecues.
The green egg.
Yeah, I believe that's what he used for it this time. You know, but if you ever watch his videos, you get some good information about meat off of him. You know. Anyway, that's my cut of the week this week. I don't know if they call it Denver steak in this part of the country or where you're at, but it's actually a boneless short rib. You know, so there you go.
I don't know, man. My cut of the week is Eye of the Round.
Ohio 45 said they're less than an hour from him. So there you go.
There's another guy if you want.
So
if you want to check out another guy, there's Blind Grilling. Check him out. He does a lot of stuff with the green eggs and all the
yeah, we had him on the show once.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Good guy.
He was on my mailing list, but I took him off.
Well, he does some. He's got a nonprofit that donates stuff to first responders and wounded veterans and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Check him out.
So now we're going on about prizes and barbecue. I've got a pet peeve right now. And it's how the country, commercials on TV shows, you know, it's driving me nuts. Stay safe. Fuck you is what I want to say to you. If you say that to me, I don't know why. It just rubs me the wrong way when I hear people say it.
There goes family friendly.
What?
No kidding, and it wasn't me.
There goes family friendly.
Yeah, I know. I do apologize.
Did you see Clover cringe?
That did slip out, you know. But yeah, it just annoys me when you see "stay safe." Another thing
I had my fingers in the air. I heard it coming, so I stuck my fingers in the air and I said la 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 la.
Yeah.
It's all good.
yeah. So, another thing I noticed too is I said this on the daytime show was when you're watching TV, then all of a sudden these actors come on, saying about, oh, we feel for you as they're living in their mansions, being pampered, they're doing the stay safe thing. I have to take a double take because without all their makeup on, most of these are some ugly gut people. I just happened to notice that, I thought, damn. So, all these fantasies, I've seen a couple of women on there, all these fantasies I had, seen them without makeup. I ain't going to touch them.
Well, you weren't going to touch him anyway. Let's be honest.
I know. I said it was a fantasy. Oh, Sabrina goes, yes, stay safe, but also stay home. Yeah, stay safe. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't know why. It just gets me. It's like somebody, running their fingers down a chalkboard. You guys remember that from school? You younger one. They don't use chalkboards anymore, do they? So. Yeah. I used to be, when I was in school, now this is a little story here. When I was in English school, right? And the school I went to was called Fraser College. It's not there anymore. It was a private school. My parents paid for me to go there. They're paid, but it was cheaper than sending me to an American school. So they sent me to an English school. And this school was like, honestly, it was like Hogwarts. We had all the wooden desks, the wooden classrooms, the staircases going up. The school was 4 stories high, and and you go downstairs into the basement where this chemistry lab was, and there was a set of restrooms down there. Used to call them the bog because it stunk like hell, but that's where we'd go smoke, But yeah, go on.
That bit of you not getting sent to the American school explains a lot.
Yeah. But I forgot my whole point of my story now. You threw me off.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Getting old sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does. I forgot what I was going to say now.
You were talking about chalkboards.
Oh, yes. Yes, thank you, Adrian. But, of course, I didn't want to be at school. Because where I was going with it, this is towards the end of my, I got what I got from English school is equivalent to a high school diploma. So, but I didn't want to be there because now you got to remember, we had just spent 3.5 years in the Philippines, and I was going to an American school on the base. Then we came to Georgia, and I was in an American school. Then we come to England, and they throw me back into a British school. And I was rebelling at that time. And so I was very disruptive in class. But my history teacher I had, he could throw that eraser, where you rub the chalkboards clear. He could throw that and hit you dead on without even. He would have been a great pitcher to get you out on second base because he could spin around and throw that thing and it would smack you inside the head. Chalk would go in there, all the dust.
We need to bring some of that back to the schools in my area.
16-inch or 8-inch?
What, eraser?
Yeah.
8. And also, I've even had the cane when I was at school. Across my hand, no less. I misbehaved. Put out your hand. Or smack with the cane. You grit your teeth. You don't cry because you're a man, Oh, yeah. I was a terror in school. I wasn't bad. I just didn't want to be there. So I just done the bare minimum to get through and get out. Maybe
Well,
maybe they had sent me back to the American school. Maybe I would have been better and gone on to better things, But I don't know.
I ain't far removed from that because, I didn't want to go to any classes in school, but that's where the women were, so I wanted to go there.
Yeah.
I just hung out. We had a smoking lounge, and I would hang out there.
Oh, yeah.
All neck for the girls. Yeah. Every
You
time I
remember-
walked by there, they were cooking brownies and cookies, and then they were eating and all the good stuff.
I got a
How do I
question.
get in there? The heck with technology. I got
Yeah.
that.
I got a question for you. What do they use now? What class is it now? Because I'm trying to think who's old here. Tony, do you remember the typing class, with a room full of typewriters, and everybody learned to type?
I had that.
Sure. We
Oh,
had
you
Mine
did?
was
Yeah, ours was just called keyboarding, but it
What-
was
yeah, mine was
typewriters.
keyboarding. It was on a
Keyboard?
word processor, but same thing.
Yeah, we used the old-fashioned, typewriters.
Mhm.
It was so I learned to type. It's amazing, but I don't use it here. Occasionally, I will stop myself. And normally, I just use 2 or 3 fingers. But occasionally, I will stop and do it properly. It's something I learned in school, I guess. That fed me all my life.
My problem with typing, and if I remember, I think there was 2. I think I took it 2 years because I want to say junior high is when we had typing, and it was electric typewriters, but it was actually on a typewriter. And then we had keyboarding in high school, which was on a word processor. But I will tell you this: that no, I mean all of the skills learned with that definitely stuck with me. I mean I type pretty well. I can type pretty fast. But I will say this, taking those classes, the only reason that the boys took those classes is because the girls took those
Oh,
classes.
absolutely. That's the only reason I took it.
That was it.
Yeah, that was it. Exactly. That's the only reason I took it.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't learn how to type fast until I went blind.
Well, I learned really good
Really,
because you had to impress the girls. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it was a skill that stuck with me and I learned it, but I didn't learn it because I wanted to learn it. I learned it because I wanted to impress them.
Yeah, I did too. And it was also, if you paid attention and learned it, and you're flirting with the girls and stuff, it was an easy pass class. You wouldn't get an F in it. So, there we go.
My chick magnet class was ornamental horticulture. I was the only guy in it.
Growing flowers. Yeah.
Mystic Gun says, my mom still has and uses a typewriter all the time. I couldn't get her over to use her computer. Yeah, that's going back. I like computers. It makes life a lot easier.
Well, there's something about it. And I had a little brother electric typewriter up until a few years ago. It finally quit working on me, and I did type on it occasionally and play around with it because there's just something about, especially an electric typewriter. There's just something about the report of the keys as you type and the sound it makes. It's almost soothing.
Yeah, it sounds like a firearm.
Yeah,
it does if you type fast enough.
Yeah. Well, okay. Any other topics anybody wants to talk about? Or we'll start winding it up.
Not here.
It's unusual, Tony, because you like talking a lot. Oh, I know what I was going to say. I'm quite disappointed. Well, I knew it was going to happen. With California, in the ammo ban, where they said you didn't have to fill out the 1144s anymore. How long did that last? 2 days?
Yeah.
Where they could buy all the ammunition they wanted without filling out forms and stuff and buy it, have it mailed into them, stuff like that. So, what I thought was the judge is the same one that done the thing on the magazines, and when from what I can understand, when the Attorney General of California asked for a stay back in his court, he denied it. So straight away, the he wanted to go. He wanted to go to the Ninth Circuit to get them to. So he denied it. So it went to the Ninth Circuit Appeals Court, and they agreed to put a thing on it for his thing. His ban it goes back into effect to the way it was. So now it's going to take years for it to climb through the circuits to get to the Supreme Court. You know, but it's amazing how fast this country. I'm saying this country or our justice system. It's amazing how fast you can do an anti-gun thing, but it takes years to get a pro-gun thing through.
Well, our president needs to clean house on the courts that are trying to legislate from the bench.
Yeah, but President Trump's having trouble because, you know, the Democrats in the Senate, because the Senate are the only ones that do the confirmations. And they're so backed up because the Democrats are they're allowed to have X amount of time to interview each person. And they take the maximum time allowed for each one. And they don't do anything. They just take the time just to prolong it. And that's why he's had people wanting to be judges. I've been waiting 3.5 years for him to be confirmed, but the Democrats keep holding it up. So, but one good thing, the Ninth Circuit used to have a 5-judge majority, you know, over, if you want to say, people who follow the Constitution, and then there was a thing of 5-judge majority for the anti-gunners, basically. It has gone down to 3 now. He has put in 2 judges who believe in the Constitution. So now they've only got a 3-judge majority. So he's working on it, but it's slow. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about night strike. Yeah. It's as I said, it's amazing how they can do that fast, but when it comes to pro gun, it takes forever to get anywhere. Oh well. You know. What can I say? Stay safe, everybody.
Well, you know, what we need is the Supreme Court to come down and say the Second Amendment is absolute. No state.
Yeah, but they're not going to, are they?
I know it.
I mean, that's what we want. That's what we want. That's what we need. But let's be realistic. That is never, ever going to happen. I don't think, definitely not in my lifetime, that is ever going to happen.
Well, believe me, if I ever become king of the earth, that'll be the first thing I do.
I don't know. It's I believe they should. You're right. It's that I think all the amendments are absolute. You know, especially the first 10 on the Bill of Rights. They should not be touched whatsoever. But as I say, we know that's not going to happen. You know,
the reason that
even
I bring that out because the other amendments do have latitude written into them. The Second Amendment does not.
It does not, but back to what I started the show with at the very beginning. It has precedent that it can't, even in the 2008 Heller case. What's his name? The judge who wrote the... the judge that wrote the... what was his name? The one who wrote the thing about it. He said there could be limited stuff on the Second Amendment. What was it? Glees or Glean or something his name was, the judge. He died of a heart attack. That was the one that Corsi got his first Supreme Court pick, replaced him. You know? So even in the 2008 Heller case, it stated in there that the Second Amendment could be, you know, there was latitude in there. So even though it doesn't state it, the court has made it so. And that's what sucks. Scalia, that's it.
And
Well, now,
and just for the
If I
record,
remember-
NSA.
You what?
I was just going to say, just for the record, if NSA is listening, he said precedent.
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
Yes.
Like Chicago.
if my memory serves correctly, it doesn't say what you said it said. It says that this does not say that it's absolute.
I can't remember the exact wording, but it means it can be messed with in plain English. You know? So,
But what it actually said was this ruling does not mean that it can't.
well, there you go. Can't be messed with. Can't be messed with. I mean, they can. I mean, no. I mean, I'm not going to look it up right now online, but it did. The way it was worded meant that they can mess with it. You can deny. You can say I'm wrong all you want, but I know I'm right. So, all right, I'm going to. You missed the cut of the week, gun. G Webs. It was a Denver steak, by the way. Okay, Ohio 45 says, why did Benice, whatever that judge in California is, stay his own decision on the magazines and then deny the stay on the ammo sales to California? I don't know. Because he knew the ammo sale law was totally bogus. And it was just done to make it harder for gun people to buy ammo. That's all it was. You missed it, G-Webs. It was a Denver steak. So there we go. Anyway, let me wind this up. So who we got here? Who's in the corner? Tony. Any shout out for plugs?
No.
How did Tony got a new 44. What was it, Model 29?
Yeah.
There you go. He got a new one of those. I don't know if that was his stimulus check money or not, but I haven't got my stimulus check money yet. Just because, but according to my latest, for anybody out there in the chat who's on Social Security or Social Security disability or something like that, the last I read, was it yesterday I read it, that they say that we should get ours by the end of the month. So I'm figuring Wednesday. That's when they put out the other ones on a Wednesday. So I figured we'll get ours on Wednesday. That's what I'm banking for. So I could be wrong, but it would be nice. Because as I said the other day, I know, I live with it, but from when I got my last Social Security check till I get my next one, for me, is a 5-week month. So it makes it, you're stretching your dollars. It makes it tough, So,
is it still an 1875?
well, what I'm going to get?
What's your plan? Yeah.
That's what I plan on getting. If everything else I want to do works out right. Put it this way, if I got to pay a bill or do something that I feel is more important, I'll do that before I buy another gun. I'm trying to be responsible here. I'm trying to be an adult.
I get that.
Hey, I'm 63 years old. It's time for me to stop being a child.
Yeah. The
Why
same
bother?
for that rainy day that's probably going to happen here in the grocery store in another week or two. Prices start spiking.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I reckon they will too.
I did run yesterday and buy 46.5 pounds of meat.
Yeah, I know you did. You told me about it. You're becoming a hoarder like the rest of them. What I want to know, as I said this on the show, has the people that bought 3 or 4 24 packs of toilet roll, have they gone through the first 24 pack yet? I doubt it. So That's all I want to say. Okay, Tony, you had no shout outs or plugs?
Nope. I mean, people should come to the chat we do through the week, but
No, yeah. Yeah.
I'm
I'm trying to think. Hell.
intentionally left blank.
I ain't got the link for it right at the moment, so see if I can find it real quick. Clover, you got anything?
You know, let's say thanks for the invite. Always a pleasure, Rick.
Oh, I appreciate you being here and your input. It always you always have something interesting to say. So, all right. Next is the man, the myth, the legend, Patriot in the Dark.
Hi, just thanks for having me. If you guys are bored, no, that came out right. I shouldn't say that. But you should go check out Clover's After Dark. You know, the nerd chat had some good stuff on there this week. If you got a channel and all that stuff. But otherwise, just stay positive and stay active. You know, at least do some walking around. Don't just sit in a chair if you can.
I just put the link in the chat to the chat room that we use Monday through Friday. Most of us get in there around 11 a.m. We don't normally get there that much earlier than that because of the people on the West Coast and stuff. They're still in bed. So
Eastern time, he's talking 11 Eastern.
Yeah, 11 Eastern time. You know, people out. We have, you know, that's when we get there, and we're there most of the day. So I only stay a couple hours.
It's not suitable for children. Period.
No, it's not. So if you got children in the room, you know you might not need to come in. Not that we're not swearing every other word or anything. But sometimes, you know, it gets.
I do.
Well, we know you do. You know, but anyway. Patriot, did you do your shouts and plugs?
Yeah, just thanks for having me.
Okay, no problem. Glad you're here. And then we
Bye,
got
Sabrina.
New York Outcast.
No plugs or nothing. Thanks for having me, and everybody have a good day.
Yeah. And
Hey, Outcast.
it was a good show, and Kingpin wasn't even here. Wow.
You think he left you for last, thinking you might die?
Maybe. I don't. It's New York and all. You never know what's going to happen. So
Yeah.
Just curious.
So I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat for being here for the hour and a half or hour and 20 minutes. I really do appreciate it. It's nice to see that people want to listen to me and the crowd here ramble on about whatever. So, but as I said before, if any of you guys got any topics you want us to talk about or whatever, shoot me an email at rickslifeasiseeit@gmail.com and I'll bring it up as a topic. Also, you can do it for the Wednesday show too, because I'll be back on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time with Shooting with Disabilities. So I want to say thank you all for being here, and I want you to have a great Saturday afternoon and enjoy life. And I'm not saying the saying that everybody wants me to say. So have a good one, everybody.
Bye, Sabrina.